Mansa Musa story. They say some kings rule their land, but only a few rule history. And then there was Mansa Musa, a ruler whose footsteps glittered like gold, whose generosity changed nations, and whose story still echoes centuries later. But behind the legend was a man more complex than the world ever knew. The beginning. Long before the world called him the richest man to ever live, Musa was known simply as the Quiet Prince of Mali, a man who studied maps, traded salt in the markets, and walked among his people disguised as a commoner. He listened to their complaints. He learned their stories. He understood their suffering. Because to Musa, a king was not a crown. It was a responsibility. So when the throne finally came to him, he made a promise. If I rule, my people rise with me. And he kept that promise. The journey that shook the world. One night, Musa stood on the balcony of his palace. Looking at the stars above the Sahara, he whispered, "A king must be seen by the world." And so he prepared the greatest journey ever made. A pilgrimage. Not in silence. Not in secrecy. But in grandness the world had never imagined. When he departed, the streets trembled. Because Musa didn't travel alone. He marched with thousands of soldiers, tens of thousands of attendants, camels carrying pure gold, musicians, scholars, servants, horses draped in silk. People who witnessed it said the desert turned bright, as if the sun bowed to him. When he reached cities like Cairo, crowds rushed to see the king, whose wealth seemed to come from the earth itself. Musa gave gold so freely that the price of gold fell, and markets collapsed for years. That's how powerful he was. But there was more to him than gold. One night, in a quiet room, far from the noise of celebration, Musa sat with his head bowed. His advisor asked, "Great king, why do you look troubled?" Musa replied, "The world sees my wealth, but they do not see my purpose." His purpose was simple, to build a kingdom that would outlive him. A kingdom of education. A kingdom of culture. A kingdom of faith. When he returned home, he ordered the construction of schools, libraries, mosques, and universities. Timbuktu became the shining star of Africa, a center of knowledge so great that scholars from across the world made the journey to learn there. Because of one king, one decision, one vision. The end of the legend. Mansa Musa lived honored, respected, and admired, not because he was wealthy, but because he shared that wealth with the world. And long after he was gone, people still whispered his name, not as a king of gold, but as a king of purpose. A king who understood that true wealth is what you give, not what you keep. That is the legend of Mansa Musa.